Have you ever looked at someone who succeeded and thought, why not me? Have you ever felt that you have potential, but something invisible always seems to pull you back? That you start things but never finish them? That you know what to do but don't do it? That you self-sabotage without understanding why? That's not a character flaw. It's programming, and programming can be replaced. That's exactly what begins now. Attention, do not listen to this audio while driving, operating machinery, or in any situation that requires you to remain alert. It was designed to be listened to while resting, preferably while sleeping, when your subconscious mind is completely open and receptive. The mindset of winners isn't a gift that some people receive and others don't. It's a set of beliefs, habits, and mental patterns that were installed through repetition. And what was installed through repetition can be replaced through repetition. Within 21 days, you'll begin to notice changes. Between 30 and 60 days, the transformation deepens. The more you listen, the more it becomes permanent. Prepare your mind. What begins now changes everything. Your identity is not who you are. It's a program installed without your permission, by childhood, by fear, by every rejection you never processed. And the good news is, any program can be rewritten. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how. But first, pay attention to this. There's an NLP experience made uniquely and individually for you. Not a generic audio that thousands of people have already heard. It's built with your name, your goals, your exact blocks. And it works for any area of your life you want to reprogram. High performance, business, mental health, prosperity, success, relationships, self-esteem. It doesn't matter which of these areas you're stuck in right now. There's a version of this experience built specifically to get you out of that point. Scan the QR code on your screen right now, or check the first pinned comment below this video. So, let's begin. And to begin, I only need one thing from you. I don't need you to believe in anything yet. I don't need you to feel anything specific. I don't need you to force yourself to think positively. I only need you to breathe. That's all. Breathe in now, slowly, through your nose. Let the air enter calmly, filling your chest and expanding your abdomen. Hold it for a moment and breathe out through your mouth, slowly, as if you were releasing everything you've carried today, everything you've carried this week, everything you've carried for years without even realizing it. That's right. And again, breathe in, slowly, deeply. Hold and breathe out, letting go. Notice how with each exhalation, your body becomes a little heavier, a little looser, a little more at peace. It's not something you need to force. It's something that happens naturally when you simply stop and allow it. Your body knows how to do this. It always has. Sometimes it just needs permission, and now you're giving it that permission. Continue breathing at this gentle pace as I invite you to bring your attention to your body, starting at the top of your head. Notice if there is any tension there, in your forehead, at your temples, around your eyes. And with the next exhalation, let that tension go. You don't need to force it, just intention, just permission. Bring your attention down to your face, to your jaw, this place that holds so many unspoken words, so many frustrations that were never expressed. Relax your jaw now. Let your teeth gently separate. Feel the relaxation spreading through your neck and shoulders. These shoulders that carry so much. Responsibilities, expectations, the silent pressure of feeling like you should be further along than you are. With the next exhalation, let them drop naturally, as if an invisible weight were being lifted from you now. Feel the relaxation moving down through your arms, through your elbows, through your forearms, all the way to your hands, to the tips of your fingers. Heavy, warm, completely relaxed. Move your attention down to your chest, to your abdomen. This is where anxiety often lives, where the fear of not being enough so often tightens its grip. With your next breath, send warmth to this place. Imagine a bright golden light spreading from within, warming, relaxing, dissolving any tension that is still being held there. Continue moving downward to your hips, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your feet, all the way to the tips of your toes. Your entire body is now relaxed, heavy, warm, and completely surrendered to this moment. And in this state, I want you to hear something important. You were not born a loser. No one is born a loser. What happened was different. Throughout your life, experiences, words, comparisons, and repetition installed a certain programming that taught you to think small, to give up before trying, to sabotage yourself before succeeding, to believe that success was meant for other people, not for you. That programming is not your truth. It's simply what was repeated until it began to feel true. And that programming ends now. Here, in this deep and receptive state, your mind is open in a way that it rarely is during the day. The filters are lowered, judgment is quiet, and what enters now goes deep. It reaches the place where beliefs truly live, the place where real change takes place. And what enters now is different from everything that came before. Take one more deep breath, and as you breathe out, feel that something is beginning, something quiet, powerful, and lasting. The installation of a new mindset, the mindset of winners, a mindset that has always been possible for you, and from this moment forward, it becomes yours. I want to tell you a story, and while I tell it, I want you to simply listen, without analyzing, without judging. Just let the images form in your mind, like a movie unfolding naturally, without effort, without control. Because sometimes the deepest truth arrives more easily when it dresses as a story. There was a man, an ordinary man, the kind of person no one really noticed when he walked into a room, not because he was invisible, but because he had learned to take up as little space as possible, not to speak too loudly, not to dream too big. He grew up in a home where dreams were treated with suspicion, where those who tried and failed became examples of what not to do, where security was valued more than ambition. Phrases like, "That's not for people like us," "Know your place," and "It's never going to work" were repeated so often that he eventually stopped questioning whether they were true. He simply accepted them as if they were laws of nature, as if the size of his life had already been decided before he ever had the chance to choose. And so he lived. He had a job that paid the bills but didn't ignite anything inside him.
relationships where he gave more than he received, because deep down he believed he didn't deserve balance. He had dreams, yes, but he kept them buried so deeply that he had almost forgotten they existed. Because dreaming and never achieving felt less painful than trying and failing. That was the logic of his programming. And for years, that logic governed every decision, every step, every choice to remain still when he should have moved forward, every moment he gave up when he was almost there, every opportunity he sabotaged before it could prove that he was capable.
Until the day something broke. It wasn't a grand event. It wasn't a dramatic crisis or a mystical revelation. It was something small, almost ridiculously simple. He was watching an interview with a successful man, and he expected to hear the usual story: exceptional talent, a wealthy family, a lucky break that changed everything, perfect circumstances that opened the right doors. But that wasn't what he heard. The man in the interview said something that lodged inside him like a hook. He said that for years he had been the most limited person he knew. He had grown up believing he didn't have what it took. He had failed more times than he could count. And the only thing that had changed wasn't his circumstances. It wasn't luck. It wasn't talent. It was his internal programming. It was the moment he consciously decided to stop playing the same mental movie he had been playing since childhood and install a new one, belief by belief, habit by habit, thought by thought. And our ordinary man remained sitting in front of the screen for a long time after the interview ended, because for the first time in years, something inside him said, "What if I can do this too?" Not with certainty, not with excitement, just a small, timid spark. But it was real. The first real spark he had felt in a very long time, and he decided not to let that spark go out. He started small, very small. He didn't disappear into the mountains to meditate. He didn't quit everything overnight. He simply began paying attention to the thoughts he had about himself, and he realized, with a quiet shock, just how cruel those thoughts were. He realized how he spoke to himself in ways he would never accept from another person. "You're not good enough. Who do you think you are? This isn't for you. You're going to fail again. There's no point in trying." And every time he noticed a thought like that, he stopped, he breathed, and he chose a different one. Not necessarily the opposite, just one that was a step more truthful, a step kinder, a step more aligned with the person he wanted to become. Little by little, his thoughts began to change. And with his thoughts, his actions changed. And with his actions, his results changed. And with his results, his identity changed. It wasn't fast. It wasn't linear. There were setbacks. There were days when the old programming screamed louder than the new one. There were moments of doubt so deep that he almost gave up again. But this time, something was different. This time, he knew that the voice telling him to quit wasn't the truth. It was just an old echo, a ghost of a programming pattern that was losing its power every day he chose differently. And then came the day when he looked back, and he didn't recognize the man he had once been. Not because he had changed his face, his city, or his circumstances, but because he had changed so deeply on the inside that everything became different. The same life, seen through a different mind, is an entirely different life. And he realized something he wanted to share with everyone he met afterward. The only difference between who he had been and who he became wasn't talent, it wasn't luck, it wasn't opportunity, it was a decision.
a decision to reprogram himself, to install a different mindset, to choose day after day to think like a winner before he felt like one. Now, I want to ask you something, and I want you to let this question settle deep inside you, without rushing, without pressure. Do you recognize this man? Because he isn't some distant character. He is the archetype of the hero that exists within every human being. The part of you that knows there is more inside you than you are currently showing. The part that carries potential that has not yet been fully activated. Somewhere beneath all of those limiting programs, there is a version of you that has already won. That part of you is listening now, and it is learning in this very moment that the mindset of winners isn't a gift that some people receive at birth. It is a choice, a practice, a reprogramming that begins with a decision. And you have already made that decision. You are here. You are listening. You are allowing it to happen. And this is already the beginning of everything that is yet to come.
Now we've reached the most important moment so far. Not the moment to add, but the moment to let go. Because before we permanently install the mindset of winners, we need to create space. And creating space means dissolving what is occupying the place where the new programming needs to enter. The old beliefs, the inherited patterns, the voices that have been repeating for years that you don't have what it takes to win. We don't need to understand every one of them in detail. We don't need to revisit every painful moment that created them. All we need is one thing: permission to let go. And you are giving yourself that permission now. Take a deep breath. Breathe in slowly, hold it for a moment, and breathe out. And as you release the air, imagine that along with it, the first layers of the mindset that kept you small are leaving you. You don't need to see them clearly. You don't need to name them. Just feel the intention to release them and trust that your deeper mind knows exactly what to do, because it does. Imagine now that you are standing in a dark room, a room you know well, even if you've never thought of it this way. This is the room where your mind has stored all the beliefs that built the mindset of defeat. The walls are covered with them. Each belief occupies a place. Each one carries a weight. Each one has a story. There is the fear of failure. You know where it came from. Maybe not every detail, but you can feel its weight. The first time you tried something and it didn't work, and someone around you reacted in a way that taught you that failure was dangerous, that failure was shameful, that it was better not to try than to try and make a mistake in front of everyone. Look at that belief and realize how much it has cost you. How many opportunities were left behind because the fear of failure spoke louder than your desire to try? How many versions of yourself never came into existence because that belief blocked the door before you even reached it? That belief didn't protect you, it paralyzed you. And you can let it go now. Not with anger, not by judging yourself for carrying it, with the calmness and clarity of someone who realizes they no longer need that weight. Let it go. Let it slip through your hands and fall to the floor of this dark room. It is not coming with you from this moment forward.
There is the habit of giving up, that silent pattern that appears whenever things become difficult, that whispers that it isn't going to work, that convinces you the effort isn't worth it, that makes you retreat exactly when you may have been closer than you realized. You know how this pattern works. You've seen it act through you more than once. And for a long time, you believed it said something true about who you are, that giving up was simply your nature, that persistence was a quality belonging to other people. But that was never true. Never. Giving up isn't who you are. It is what the programming did for you when there was no other instruction installed. It is the default behavior of a mind that had not yet received the update that is happening now. Let go of that pattern. Leave it in this room. It no longer belongs in the version of you that is being built here. There is the constant comparison, that silent poison that makes you look at other people's success and feel that it proves something about what you lack, that turns someone else's achievement into evidence of your inadequacy, that makes you measure your worth against the ruler of another person's life, a ruler that can never be fair because it was made for another story, not yours. Look at that belief and realize that it never compared equal things. It compared your inner world with other people's outer world, your process with their results, your entire journey with all its setbacks and fresh starts with the moment of victory they chose to show you. It isn't a real comparison. It never was. Let that go too. Leave it in this room. There is the imposter syndrome, the voice that appears whenever you begin to grow and tells you that you don't deserve to be where you are, that it's only a matter of time before someone discovers that you aren't good enough, that your success was luck, an accident, a coincidence, anything except the real result of who you are and what you have done. That voice has lied to you every time it spoke, because imposters don't experience imposter syndrome. Genuine, committed people do because they care enough to question themselves. The fact that you feel this way does not prove that you are inadequate. It proves that you have awareness, responsibility, and depth. Let that voice go. It has no authority here anymore.
And now, imagine that the walls of this dark room begin to crack, and through those cracks, light begins to enter. A strong, clear, golden light. The light that enters when old truths finally make room for something more real. This light begins to fill the room, touching every corner where a limiting belief was still hiding, dissolving, cleansing, transforming. And as the light fills everything, repeat these words with the deepest part of yourself that is listening now. I release the fear of failure. Failure is part of the journey, not the end of it. I release the habit of giving up. Persistence is my new programming. I release the comparison that diminishes me. My journey is unique and it has its own rhythm. I release the voice that says I don't deserve to win. I do deserve it, and I prove it every day that I choose to keep going. I release everything that taught me to think small. From this moment forward, my mind thinks at the level of my true potential. Feel each release taking place, not as words, but as a real sensation of lightness, as something that was once tight inside you, finally loosening, as space being created where there was only weight. That space belongs to you now, clean, open, ready. And what is about to enter that space next will change everything. Take a deep breath and let the light continue doing its work. You are ready for the next step. And the next step is where the mindset of winners finally finds its permanent place within you.
You made it this far. And that already says something powerful about you, because most people who start something never make it this far. They give up first. They get distracted first. They find a reason to stop before they ever reach this point. But you are here, present, listening, allowing. That alone is the mindset of a winner in action. And now we're going to do something your mind will carry with it from this moment forward. We're going to install this mindset so deeply, so solidly, so permanently that it will operate within you even when you're not consciously thinking about it, even when the day is difficult, even when doubt appears, even when someone around you tries to convince you that you don't have what it takes. Because what we're installing now isn't motivation that lasts for a day. It's an identity, and identities don't disappear at the first obstacle. So breathe deeply, and as you inhale, imagine that you are breathing in a version of yourself that has already won, not in some distant future, now. The version of you who thinks differently, acts differently, responds differently, who doesn't give up when things get difficult, because at the deepest level, you know that difficulty is part of the process, not a sign that you should stop. And as you exhale, release any remaining trace of doubt, any echo of the old programming that tries to tell you that this isn't for you, that you're different, that other people can do it, but you can't. Let that echo go now. It has no place here anymore. We're going to work through 3 layers. Each layer goes a little deeper than the one before it. Don't force yourself to believe any of them. Just listen. Just receive. Your subconscious mind is doing the real work while you rest.
The first layer is the layer of identity, who you are at the most fundamental level, before behaviors, before results, before any external proof. I am a winner, not because I have already won everything, but because the mindset of winning now lives within me. Because I chose to install this programming, because I consciously decided to become the person who does not give up. I have what it takes. I don't need perfect conditions. I don't need anyone's approval. I don't need to wait until I feel ready. I already have what it takes to begin, to continue, and to reach the destination. My mind is my greatest tool, more powerful than any external circumstance, more decisive than any obstacle that appears. What happens inside my mind determines what happens outside of it, and I govern my mind. I was programmed to think small, and I choose to reprogram myself, now, permanently. There is no going back. Let these identity statements settle into you, like roots growing deep into fertile soil. Your mind is receiving each one now at the level where real change takes place. The second layer is the layer of behavior, how someone with the mindset of winners acts in the world, how this mindset manifests itself through concrete, everyday choices. I persist when things are difficult. Difficulty is not a sign that I should stop. It is a sign that I am growing, and growth is exactly what I came here to seek. So when things get difficult, I continue, one step, then another, always one more. I learn from every failure. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the path to success. Every time I fall and get back up, I become stronger, wiser, and closer to where I want to go. I don't waste my setbacks, I use them. I take action before I feel completely ready. Because complete readiness rarely comes before action, it comes during action, it comes afterward. And I have learned that waiting for the perfect moment is another way of giving up before even trying. So I act, now, with what I have, from where I am. I speak to myself the way a winner speaks to themselves, with respect, with encouragement, with the firmness of a coach who believes in the athlete even when the athlete doubts themselves. My inner voice is now an ally, not an enemy. Feel these behaviors becoming part of you.
not merely as words, but as new neural patterns taking shape, new pathways opening in your mind, new routes that will be traveled automatically when life demands a response from you. The third layer is the layer of reality, the external world that begins to reorganize as your internal programming transforms. Success is my natural outcome, not because everything always goes right, but because my mindset leads me to take actions that create results, and consistent results over time become success, inevitably. My life reflects my mindset, and my mindset is now the mindset of winners. This means that gradually and with certainty, my life will begin to reflect that back to me through opportunities that appear, through people who enter my life, through doors that open to those whose minds are open enough to recognize them. I become better every day, not perfectly, not linearly, but genuinely and consistently. Every day is an opportunity to become a little more of the person I have chosen to be, and I do not waste that opportunity. I attract people, situations, and opportunities that are aligned with my new programming, because what exists within me resonates with what exists around me, and what exists within me now is the frequency of winners. Now take a deep breath and feel all three layers at the same time: the identity of who you are, the behavior of how you act, the reality you are creating. I am a winner. I act like a winner, and my life reflects it. This programming is being recorded now at the deepest level of your mind, not as something you are trying to believe, but as something you are remembering, as something that was always possible and has now finally found its way back into you, where it always should have been. Breathe and let this be real, because it already is.
You've reached the end, and what a journey this has been. You came here carrying programming that was never truly yours, inherited beliefs, patterns installed through repetition, voices that told you that thinking big wasn't meant for you. And throughout this audio, something changed, silently, deeply, and permanently, the way real change always happens, from the inside, at the layer no one can see, but where everything begins. Now it's time to rest, completely, without effort. Let your eyes become heavy. Let your body sink even deeper. Each breath takes you further down. Each beat of your heart reinforces everything that was planted here. And while you sleep, your subconscious mind continues working. It continues absorbing. It continues installing the mindset of winners into every layer of your mind. Tonight, something changed within you, something that cannot be undone. Tomorrow, when you open your eyes, something inside you will know that you are different, in the way you respond to an obstacle, in the voice that says, "Keep going," instead of "Stop," in the quiet confidence that now occupies the space where doubt used to live. I have the mindset of winners. I persist when things are difficult. I learn from every experience. I take action before I feel ready. Success is my natural outcome. I become better every day. And so it is. If you want to deepen this transformation with a reprogramming session created specifically for you, point your camera at the QR code on the screen now. A personalized NLP session designed around your beliefs, your blocks, and your unique story. Because you don't deserve a generic solution. You deserve something created exclusively for you. Good night. Rest. The most important work has already been done.